Hello, my name is Abena Poku, and I conducted research on the history and architecture of Calgary's petroleum districts, specifically exploring the transition from 8th Avenue Southwest to 5th Avenue Southwest, supervised by Dr. Montaigne. My interest in this topic began while studying Calgary's post-war urban development. Started in the mid-20th century, the discovery of major oil and gas reserves in Alberta triggered rapid economic growth in Calgary. While mapping oil and gas-related buildings constructed between the 1950s and 1980s, I began to notice a striking spatial pattern. The red dots marking buildings from the 1950s clustered around 8th Avenue Southwest, while the yellow and blue dots, representing later decades, moved progressively northeast to 5th Avenue Southwest. This visual shift revealed the emergence of two distinct oil patches within the city's core. This led to my research question. Why did Calgary's petroleum districts shift from 8th Avenue Southwest to 5th Avenue Southwest between the 1950s and 1980s, and in what ways did architecture evolve during this transition? I started with a historical literature review to gain a better understanding of the oil strikes in Alberta. Then I conducted architecture and newspaper research by going to library archives to analyze the design of buildings. For example, what does a building's floor plan communicate? What words are they emphasizing in newspaper adverts? Fieldwork, including site visits, live sketching, and mapping of extant buildings, allowed me to observe and engage with them at a detailed scale. All these methods provided comprehensive insights for my project. The first oil patch. The Barron Building is often hailed as the building responsible for the oil patch being established in Calgary because the east office space shortage in Alberta following the Leduc oil strike in 1947. Even before this building was completed, all the office space had been leased. Other investors quickly followed suit, and more office buildings sprang up close to the Barron. The next major developments were the Anglo-American Building, which consisted of white terracotta and Quebec granite, the Pacific and Petroleum buildings, which had an accurate design, and the Imperial Building. These buildings were along 9th Avenue, which became known as Petroleum Row. The Petrofina Building, with its unique use of color and chevron panels, was the first building in Calgary funded by European capital. Petrochemical was the first all-glass building, and the Elvedine Center has towers distinguished by their green hexagon fiberglass panels. At that time, the maximum story limit was 12, but the law was reviewed so this building could have a 20-story tower. Though the Nova building was completed later, it marks the end of the first oil patch. Its irregular triangular shape makes it stand out from surrounding rectangular blocks. Now, why did the transition from 8th Avenue Southwest to 5th Avenue Southwest occur? One was the need for cheaper land. As 8th Avenue developed and attracted significant pedestrian traffic, land values rose. Another was the demand for larger parcels of land. As density along 8th Avenue increased, it became less suitable for growing firms seeking more space. Additionally, the construction of the three-lane boat trail along 6th Avenue improved access to the downtown core, further encouraging firms to locate nearby. The second oil patch. The Aquitaine Tower consists of 19 stories, and the Standard Life building was set to feature a high glass-to-concrete ratio to take advantage of Calgary's sunlight. Bow Valley Square marked a significant advancement in Calgary's architecture as it covers an entire square block. The complex features 4 office towers and also had retail stores, restaurants, and a landscape public park. There was much controversy surrounding Petro-Canada Centre because of the volume of imported materials. Also, Petro-Canada was a crown corporation at the time, and many Calgarians saw it as the federal government's action to control the oil industry in the West. In comparing the two corridors, building costs and the number of stories per building were much higher along 5th Avenue Southwest. Also, what we see is a transition from more experimental materials to standard modernist building aesthetics. Moreover, whilst newspaper adverts along 8th Avenue Southwest emphasized facilities such as air conditioning, those along 5th emphasized efficiency and longevity, implying that the oil and gas industry was here to stay. Parts of my findings can be summarized in this graph. As Calgary moves from the mid-20th century to the 21st century, the number of stories a structure has increases, and so does its combined square footage as well. Now, do the petroleum districts of Calgary become a relic of the past or foundation for renewal? While some structures are being reimagined, like the Barron Building, into residential apartments, the demolition of other buildings highlight the challenge of preserving this legacy. Thus, future research on Calgary's oilscape should explore how to balance heritage preservation with ongoing change. Here are my references and my acknowledgements. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to reach out.